Hello and welcome to Keepers. I'm Matt Ufford, and this is the internet's very best fantasy football show / support group for people who lost because Drew Brees threw 5 picks on Thursday night. Seriously, Drew? 1 touchdown? No? All right. Thank you very little. Okay, let's get into it with Week 14 starts and sits. Start Torrey Smith at Washington. With the exception of Week 12 in San Diego, Smith is disappointed on the road this season. However, the Redskins give up the 2nd most fantasy points to receivers, and with Ray Rice drawing a safety into the box, I think Smith will get a chance to break a couple big plays. Sit Marcel Reese. Even with Darren McFadden inactive last week, Reese lost touches to someone named Jeremy Stewart. I don't know who that is, and I'm too lazy to find out. Start Antonio Brown if Ben Roethlisberger is back. If the Steelers have to start Charlie Batch, yeah, that's a yellow light. You're welcome to floor it, but don't blame me if you get broadsided by an 18-wheeler. Sit Larry Fitzgerald, not that you need me to tell you this. Ryan Lindley can't hit 50 even when he's open, so I like his chances even less with Richard Sherman in Seattle. Start Kendall Wright in PPR leagues. He's been quiet recently, but the Colts have given up big games to Devon Bess, Percy Harvin, and Julian Edelman. Players like Wright who are tight route runners and work underneath the coverage. Sit the Ravens defense. Last week, the Giants' vaunted front 4 didn't sack RG3 a single time. With Pierre Garçon healthy and Griffin and Alfred Morris running well, the Redskins' offense is just too efficient to bet against right now. Start Brandon Myers. Only Wes Welker and Calvin Johnson got more targets in Week 13, when Myers had 14 catches on 15 targets. Denver is giving up the 2nd most fantasy points to tight ends, so Myers is a smart play. As always, I hold myself accountable for last week's picks in the reality check. Ugh, this segment's awful. All right, before Week 13, I said to start Jacquizz Rodgers and sit Fred Jackson because it was apparent that Michael Turner was going to get fewer carries and CJ Spiller was finally the man in Buffalo. So what happens? Quiz gets limited touches behind Turner and Jackson gets 25 carries to Spiller's 14. So I'd like to take a moment to address Mike Smith and Chan Gailey. Fuck you f***s. Just play the guy who's better. How fucking hard is this? Oh. Hope your next job is in the CFL. Anyway, last week wasn't a complete disaster. I correctly predicted big games for Pierre Garçon and Martellus Bennett, and I stand by my assertion that Dallas Clark will be a better option than Bennett in the fantasy playoffs. Of course, I also said to pick up Ryan Broyles and Mohamed Sanu, and they immediately got season-ending injuries. It's just a coincidence, people. Believe me, if I had the power to injure players with my predictions, Arian Foster would have torn his ACL in Week 1. Thanks for nothing, Ben Tate. Real glad I drafted you. Let's move on to the weather report. It's December. We got any snow football, Isaac?
Well, you asked for it, Matt, and we're gonna give it to you. We've got a huge snowstorm brewing for this weekend. Loads and loads of the white fluffy stuff is gonna be coming down. Let's go to Foxborough, Massachusetts, where the New England Patriots...
Yeah, it's only gonna be 46 degrees on Sunday, New England. It might just rain, I think.
Maryland, the Redskins game. A big old blizzard is...
Whoa, not even close. It's gonna be 60 degrees. There's a 30% chance of rain. You know, it's gotta be 32 degrees to be freezing for any kind of snow.
New Jersey, we have perfect conditions for a giant snow.
No. Once again, it's only gonna be 51 degrees. Where did you say you went to weather school again?
Weatherman University, of course. Go fighting Rokers.
You mean the Hurricanes?
You know what? F you, Max! F you good.
Back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Isaac. Let's close the show with Hiren Fire. Hire Tony Scheffler and fire Antonio Gates. With Ryan Broyles out and Titus Young suspended, Scheffler became the Lions' primary slot receiver in Week 13. Obviously, that offense runs through Megatron, but I think Scheffler could give you wide receiver 2 value at the tight end position. As for Gates, if you own him, you already hate him. He's had just 1 game with more than 60 yards all season, and let's face it, that Chargers offense is dead in the water. Phillip Rivers sucks, Ryan Matthews sucks, the O-line sucks, and Gates isn't helping. Cut him loose before the Steelers shut him down. While we're firing Chargers, fire Phillip Rivers and hire Russell Wilson. Wilson had the highest quarterback rating in the NFL in November, and he's still only owned in 15% of leagues. His numbers may be pedestrian against the Cardinals this week, but I like him against Buffalo in the Dome in Week 15. Meanwhile, Rivers is owned in 84% of leagues despite just 2 games of 20-plus fantasy points all year, against 2 of the worst passing Ds in the league, Tennessee and Tampa Bay. He closes the season against 3 defenses that shut down fantasy quarterbacks: Pittsburgh, Carolina, and the Jets. Let him go and pick up something more useful, like a VCR or a doorstop. That's it for week 14 of Keepers. Your outdoor activity of the week? Flag football in the park. If you're 30 or older, there's no better way to be reminded that your body is falling apart as you march ever closer to the grave. Set your lineups. Good luck in the playoffs.